A few weeks ago, Outdoor Boys, a massive YouTuber who usually talks about how to survive in the backcountry, stood up at a university graduation ceremony and gave what might be one of the best personal finance speeches I've ever heard. The strange part is that it wasn't about investing or what it takes to be rich or finance at all really. It was all about survival. But it wasn't about survival in the wilderness as he shows on his channel. It was about surviving life. Because whether it's a recession, losing your job, a market crash, a health scare, or simply trying to get ahead while everything gets more expensive, everybody is trying to navigate uncertainty with the resources they have available. What really stood out to me was that his message wasn't about stock picks, side hustles, or getting rich quick. It was about one simple thing that gives you more freedom, more opportunities, and more protection when life inevitably throws a curveball your way. So in this video, I want to break down the speech, pull out the money lessons hiding underneath it, and explain why this might be some of the most important financial advice you'll hear all year.
Some people call me a survival expert. Well, as a survival expert, I want to clear up a common misconception. Survival is not something we just do in the woods. Something each and every one of us has to do every single day. And whether you're building a fire or gutting a moose or drafting a motion, we're just trying to survive as best we can with the resources we have.
Here, he redefines what survival actually means. Usually, when he talks about survival, he's talking about building a shelter, starting a fire, or finding food in the wilderness. But here he sets the scene for this speech, where survival is about adapting to change. He's talking to law students here, so it's something he can offer them based on his learnings in the wilderness.
So I would like to help give you some advice to survive whatever's coming next. And while I do not know what your future holds, I can tell you that the world is changing at a terrifying and fascinating pace. Here I am, I'm 47 years old. I'm not properly old yet. And I've seen some crazy stuff. I remember watching the Berlin Wall come down live on television as a child. I remember hearing about the internet for the first time. I thought it was a fake. I didn't understand that. I was an adult the first time I ever saw an email. I was married when 9/11 happened. And the year before I went to law school, this thing called YouTube was invented. I was practicing for 3 years before I ever got my first social media account. I've seen 7 US wars, 6 recessions, and I've survived 1 global pandemic so far. I'm only 47. I don't know what the next 40 years holds for you. But I doubt any of us are going to get through it without seeing terrible and amazing things.
So here he continues to set the scene of surviving change. We can see these developments in hindsight, but in the future, he hints at what's to come, both amazing and horrifying things. For us, that could be things like AI, for better or for worse, house prices, the cost of living, elections, that kind of thing. I just think of the movie Idiocracy and how when that was produced, it was probably far-fetched. Today, the political climate isn't far off. We don't know what's coming, but the act of surviving change is paramount, and you'll see him start to talk about the finances of that shortly.
We don't know what these changes are going to be, but we do know they're coming. You need to be ready to grab the opportunities that are going to come in this changing world. And you need to be ready to survive the storms. And the best survival advice I can give you is very pragmatic. I would say save some money. It's pretty simple, but it's not. The most important things are often simple, but hard to do. Money is freedom, money is power, money is flexibility. When change happens, those people who can afford to adapt can prosper and take advantage of those opportunities. And those who cannot afford to be flexible get crushed.
What I really liked here is the line, money is freedom, power, and flexibility. This relates to optionality, and by having money, you have choices. By saving money, you can pursue opportunities and adapt to change better. With savings, you can leave that crappy job, you can pursue a business opportunity, you can move cities or pursue further education in a field you feel truly passionate about. This is what Luke is talking about. Money allows you to be who you want to be on your terms. This is a great place to start the speech because there's a saying, money doesn't buy happiness, but he's not talking about happiness here. He's talking about choices, and it's undeniable that savings can help with that.
I want to share a little bit of some experience from my life with this. During the third year of law school, 2008, the U.S. housing market imploded. 16 million homes were foreclosed. The unemployment rate was twice what it is today. Law firms across the country were closing. And when I sat in those seats, 1 out of 3 law students didn't go on to get law jobs. Okay, I was clerking for a firm that had 35 attorneys, and when 3 months before graduation, I was laid off, and that firm was a solo practice. By the time I sat for the bar, I was in panic mode. I put out 3,200 resumes to law firms and lawyers across the country. I got 15 job interviews and no job offers. I remember driving to Boynton Beach, Florida, because there was an entry-level associate position advertised. And I remember interviewing for this, and the partner points out the door at a well-dressed professional woman in her 50s who was being trained to make copies and run the coffee machine. She goes, "See that woman there?" I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "That's our new receptionist. She's a licensed attorney with 20 years of experience." 300 people applied for her job, many of them licensed attorneys. Why do you think you deserve to get an associate position? And I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Because I am very, very good looking." Go big or go home, right? You know, I did not get that job. I did not get that job. I couldn't back it up. But I walked away from that convinced that it was going to be easier to steal people's clients than it was to get a job. And so I said, I'm going to start my own law practice. October 2009, I got my law license. The ink wasn't dry, and I had my law firm started. And the very next day, I was open for business. I worked for 13 months for free. I spent $15,000 on multiple failed advertising campaigns trying to drum up business. And on the 14th month, it all changed. My final advertising campaign blew up, brought in tons of clients. My law firm exploded, and it made my family very well off. And the very first employee I had was a guy from my graduating class. And he had good GPA, he'd been on the Journal and internships and, you know, everything I wasn't. And I was graduated second from the bottom of my class, and I was the weird dude who was always fishing instead of studying, and I was a hot mess as a student. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about the differences in trajectory. And I'm convinced it's not skill and it's not intelligence that prevented him from doing what I did. It was money. I had money in the bank and he had debts. I could afford to work for free for 13 months. I could afford to take risks. He could not.
To illustrate his point, Luke shares a story from 2008, just as the GFC hit. He was in the final year of law school when the housing market collapsed and law firms across America started shutting their doors. 3 months before graduation, he lost his job, and despite sending out over 3,000 applications, he couldn't get a job. Now at this point, most people would have had no choice but to take whatever work they could find. But Luke did something different. Instead of continuing to chase jobs, he decided to start his own law firm. And that's where the real lesson begins. Because when people hear stories like this, they often assume the difference was courage, intelligence, or some kind of entrepreneurial talent. But that's not the conclusion he talked about in this speech. He says the biggest reason he was able to take that risk was because he had money in the bank. He could afford to work for free for 13 months while trying to build the business. He could afford failed advertising campaigns, and he could afford uncertainty. Meanwhile, one of his classmates had better grades, better credentials, and a stronger CV. But he also had debts around financial obligations that made taking that kind of risk almost impossible. And I think that's such an important point because we often talk about savings as protection against emergencies. But what Luke highlights here is that savings don't just protect you from the downside risks, they also allow you to take advantage of the upside opportunities. Having money in the bank gave him something incredibly valuable: time to experiment, time to fail, and time to build something. And eventually, time for that opportunity to pay off. That's why I think one of the biggest misconceptions in personal finance is that cash savings are just sitting there doing nothing. Sometimes cash isn't there to generate returns. Sometimes it's there to buy flexibility. And in a rapidly changing world, flexibility can be one of the most valuable assets that you own.
I was very fortunate to have money at that period of time. I had been given an opportunity to work construction in Alaska and raised by good people who taught me to save and invest aggressively. And I was fortunate enough to marry a wonderful woman who also worked hard and saved money. Not everybody is that fortunate. I cannot honestly say I deserve the success I have. All I can say is that I did not waste the opportunities that were gifted to me. If you are fortunate enough to be given a chance to earn some money and to survive out there, please do not waste that opportunity that you've been given. When you have money in the bank, you have options. When you are living paycheck to paycheck, you have two options. You work every single week or you go bust. People who are not saving money are one problem away from disaster. And the only thing I can guarantee you about your future is problems will come.
There is so much to unpack in here. Most personal finance advice is about saving money as a way to prepare for emergencies. Save 3 to 6 months of expenses, build an emergency fund, and protect yourself from unexpected shocks. And that's all good advice. But his argument is that money does something even more powerful than that. Again, it's about options. As he puts it, when you have money in the bank, you have choices. When you are living paycheck to paycheck, you only really have two options. Keep working every week, or you go bust. Now, that might sound a little harsh, but it's the truth. You either work or everything falls apart. Think about how many major decisions in life are influenced about your financial position. If your job becomes unbearable, can you afford to leave? If an incredible opportunity comes along in another city, can you afford to take it? If you want to retrain, start a business, take a career break, or simply weather a difficult period, do you have the financial breathing room to make that decision? Because the reality is that people with savings don't just have more money, they have more flexibility. And flexibility becomes incredibly valuable when life doesn't go according to plan. One of the most powerful lines in the speech is when he says that people who aren't saving are one problem away from disaster. This isn't meant to be fearmongering. It's simply an acknowledgement that problems are inevitable. Cars break down, jobs disappear, AI comes along, businesses fail, people get sick, economies go through rough patches. The question isn't whether challenges will come. The question is whether you'll have enough in reserve when they do. So the main lesson here is that savings or investing isn't just about trying to get rich. It's about resiliency. The more you have, the more control you have over your decisions when life inevitably throws something unexpected your way.
Now, there are a lot of things we cannot control. There are no guarantees in life. That is why it's so important to save. If you are fortunate enough to be one of those people that gets a paycheck, you have been given an opportunity that not everybody gets. Do not waste that opportunity. Now, what's the point of all this? Am I telling you you stop eating out a few times and life's all going to be great and you're going to be rich? No, I'm not saying that at all. I do not know what we are going to have to do to survive the next 40 years. But I can tell you that your odds of success are much, much greater if you spend less than you make and you save money aggressively.
There at the end, there were two sentences that were the most powerful. Spend less than you make and save aggressively. It might sound like boring advice. It's those simple words that can make the biggest difference. He's not telling you to find the next Nvidia or spruik in crypto or telling you to start a side hustle. It's the simple point of spending less than you earn. No afterpay, no laybys, no cue cards, no lingering credit card debt, just living within your means.
So much of my success was because of God, my parents, my family, and other people, and things outside of my control. I was blessed with opportunities, and the best I can say is that I didn't screw it up. I don't know what opportunities and dangers are going to come. But if you are fortunate enough to get a paycheck, don't you screw it up either, okay? Save as much as you can, as quick as you can, because some amazingly wonderful opportunities are coming your way. And if you're going to be ready to take advantage of those, And to survive the storms, you're going to have something in reserve. So good luck out there. I know you can do it.
So, as he rounds out the speech, he reminds people that much of his success comes from taking opportunities when they arise and not screwing it up. As he mentioned earlier, many of those opportunities arose from having money in the bank, accumulating from spending less than he earned. This is the central idea to his speech, and it's so simple, but I think many people forget it. Afterpay, credit cards, FOMO, there are so many distractions that try to take us off that path. As Luke reminds us, when opportunities arise, you'll be in a much better position to take advantage of them if you've built up your savings. It doesn't guarantee success, but it dramatically increases your odds. Going back to the start of the speech, the future is uncertain and it's impossible to know and start preparing for those specific events today. But the people best positioned to navigate that uncertainty are the ones that have built up their financial resilience to adapt when the world changes around them. So here are the 4 key messages I got from Luke's speech. 1. Spend less than you make. 2. Save aggressively. 3. Invest for the long term. And 4. Don't waste the opportunities you've been given. What's your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comments. While you're down there, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I've posted over 300 videos helping people with growing their wealth and building their own financial resilience. So hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future upload. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to catching you in the next one. Cheers.